The oak door groaned open, revealing a grand foyer steeped in history. The ancestral portraits, stern faces judging from gilded frames, observed the newcomer. My heart swelled with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. Little did I know, the walls held echoes of unspoken grievances. As I crossed the threshold, my mother-in-law's tight-lipped smile did little to mask the discontent in her eyes. "Nora," she uttered, the sweetness in her tone a thin veil over the bitterness lurking beneath. "How lovely of you to join us." Her embrace was perfunctory, more form than feeling. The dinner table, adorned with silverware polished to a blinding sheen, hinted at a facade of familial warmth. Yet, as we took our seats, the atmosphere shifted like a sudden drop in temperature. The clinking of cutlery became a metronome for the impending discord. Dialogue exchanged across the table crackled with tension. "Nora, dear," my mother-in-law's voice, normally a comforting melody, became a discordant note. "Tell us, how did you and our son meet?" My attempt at narrating our love story, meant to bring smiles, felt like pouring salt on an open wound. "We met at the bookstore," I stammered, the weight of her scrutiny bearing down. "It was a chance encounter." A chance encounter, or a calculated move? Her words hung in the air, poisoning the conversation. The tension escalated, reaching its peak when my father-in-law, sensing the impending storm, interjected with an uneasy laugh. Now, let's not ruin dinner with conspiracy theories." The awkward silence that followed was broken only by the clinking of cutlery against porcelain. My mother-in-law's eyes, however, lingered on me like an unrelenting spotlight. Little did I know, this unsettling welcome was just the prologue to a tale of familial discord that would unravel in unexpected ways. The clouds of suspicion gathered, casting a shadow over what was supposed to be a familial haven. The elegant dining room, once a sanctuary of shared laughter, became a battleground of unspoken accusations. As I sat down for dinner, my mother-in-law's eyes bore into mine with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. The clink of cutlery on fine china became a symphony of unease, setting the stage for the impending storm. "So, Nora," she began, her words laced with a thinly veiled skepticism, "tell us about your life before our dear son entered the scene." A chill ran down my spine, and I hesitated, sensing the trap laid in her seemingly innocent question. "Well," I began cautiously, "I worked in marketing and—" "Marketing, you say?" Her laughter, sharp and biting, echoed in the room. "Quite a convenient job, isn't it? The perfect cover for someone with ambitions." The word hung in the air, pregnant with insinuation. The once-worn ambience now crackled with tension. My husband shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his eyes darting between his mother and me. The unspoken accusation lingered, poisoning the air. "And what about your family, Nora?" she continued, her gaze unwavering. "Tell us about your upbringing." A knot tightened in my stomach as I navigated the minefield of her questions. "I come from a modest background," I replied carefully. "My parents worked hard to provide for us." "Modest, you say?" Her eyebrows arched mockingly. "Yet here you are, sitting in our home, surrounded by luxury." The dinner table, once a symbol of unity, transformed into a battlefield of disapproval. My father-in-law, sensing the escalating tension, attempted to diffuse the situation. "Enough, Margaret," he said with a forced smile. "Let's not ruin dinner with interrogations." But the damage was done. The accusation hung in the air, staining the fabric of our relationship. Little did I know, This was just the beginning of a tumultuous journey through the shadows of familial discord. The relentless assault of hostility extended beyond the confines of family gatherings, seeping into the very fabric of my daily life. The once warm calls between mother and son now carried an undercurrent of tension, my mother-in-law's voice a venomous whisper through the phone lines. "Nora," she would coo, the sweetness in her tone a thin mask for the daggers concealed within her words. "I hope you're not planning to spend our son's hard-earned money recklessly." Each conversation became a minefield, my attempts at diplomacy met with a barrage of subtle insults. "Oh dear, I was just thinking," she would say, her voice dripping with false concern, "maybe a more financially stable partner would have been a wiser choice." The frequency of these calls intensified, a relentless bombardment that left me emotionally battered. My husband, torn between loyalty to his mother and his commitment to our marriage, became a reluctant mediator. One evening as I picked up the phone, bracing myself for another round of verbal warfare, my mother-in-law's voice cut through the silence like a knife. "Nora," she began, her tone icy, "I hope you're not planning to drag our family name through the mud with your questionable background." My patience wearing thin, I responded with measured composure, "Margaret, I love your son, and I'm committed to making this marriage work." Her laughter, cold and unforgiving, echoed through the receiver. "Love is a fleeting emotion, my dear. Stability and social standing endure." As the calls persisted, my resolve began to crumble. The once strong foundation of our marriage felt shaky under the weight of her constant scrutiny. In the solitude of those conversations, I found myself questioning not only my place in the family, but also the resilience of the love that had brought us together. Little did I know, these tormented exchanges were the prelude to a more harrowing chapter in my life, where the battlefield extended beyond mere words and into the very walls of my in-laws' house. The grandeur of my in-laws' house, once a source of awe, now became a prison of humiliation. The culmination of my mother-in-law's disdain took an absurd turn during a seemingly routine visit, as the most basic of human needs became a battleground. As the afternoon sunlight bathed the opulent interiors, I excused myself to use the restroom. Little did I know, this mundane act would become a testament to the extent of my mother-in-law's control. Just as I approached the bathroom door, my mother-in-law's voice cut through the air, sharp and authoritative. "Nora, dear, I'd appreciate it if you refrained from using the bathroom upstairs. We just had it redone, and I'd like to keep it in pristine condition." Confused, I glanced at her, hoping for a jest that never came. "But I just need to use the restroom," I stammered, a flush of embarrassment coloring my cheeks. She waved off my protest with a dismissive smile. "There's a bathroom downstairs. Use that one. I won't have the upstairs one soiled by outsiders." The implication hung in the air like a heavy fog. I felt the eyes of the family upon me, their silence a tacit approval of this absurd decree. Forced to navigate the maze of unfamiliar corridors, I made my way downstairs, my steps heavy with indignation. A passing glance from my husband communicated a silent apology, but he, too, seemed powerless in the face of his mother's tyranny. The bathroom downstairs, devoid of the elegance that adorned the forbidden one, became a symbol of my diminished standing in the family. As I returned to the gathering, the atmosphere had shifted. Laughter echoed, but I felt like an outsider, an unwelcome guest in my own marriage. My father-in-law, sensing my discomfort, approached me discreetly. "Nora, I apologize for Margaret's behavior. She can be difficult," he said, his eyes reflecting a mixture of sympathy and regret. "But why?" I whispered, my frustration bubbling to the surface. What have I done to deserve this treatment? He sighed, a heaviness in his voice. It's not about you, my dear. It's about her own insecurities and misplaced sense of control. But I'll talk to her. This has gone too far. Little did I know this bathroom decree was the catalyst that would push me to confide in my father-in-law, setting in motion a series of events that would unravel the tightly woven fabric of my marriage. The weight of my mother-in-law's tyranny became unbearable, and in my quest for solace, I turned to an unexpected ally, my father-in-law. His eyes, once veiled by loyalty, now opened to the truth as I laid bare the torment I had endured. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the family estate, I found myself in the study where my father-in-law often retreated for solitude. The air was heavy with the scent of aged leather and the weight of unspoken secrets. He looked up from his book, his eyes meeting mine with a mixture of understanding and concern. "Nora," he said, setting aside his reading glasses, "you seem troubled. Is everything all right?" Taking a deep breath, I began to unravel the tapestry of mistreatment that had woven itself into the fabric of my marriage. "It's Margaret," I confessed, my voice steady despite the turmoil within. "I don't know how much longer I can endure her accusations and cruelty." His brow furrowed, a flicker of anger crossing his face. I had no idea it had escalated to this extent, he said, his tone a blend of regret and determination. "No one should have to endure such treatment, especially not in their own home." Encouraged by his empathy, I continued, recounting the incidents that had chipped away at the foundation of my marriage. The more I spoke, the clearer it became that my father-in-law had been unaware of the extent of his wife's actions. "That's enough," he said, his jaw set with determination. "I won't allow this to continue. No one should be treated this way, especially not someone who is a part of our family." In the following days, a quiet revolution unfolded. My father-in-law confronted his wife, their heated exchange echoing through the halls of the once stately house. The secrets that had festered in the shadows were exposed to the light, and the family found itself at a crossroads. One evening, as the tension reached its zenith, my father-in-law approached me with a somber expression. "Nora, I've made a decision," he said, his voice carrying the weight of both regret and resolution. "This toxicity cannot persist. I'm filing for divorce." As the words hung in the air, a mixture of relief and sadness washed over me. Little did I know, this decision would not only liberate me from the clutches of a toxic marriage, but also set in motion consequences that would force my mother-in-law to face the ramifications of her actions. The decision to sever ties with a toxic past set in motion a series of events that unraveled the threads of a once tightly woven family. As my father-in-law initiated divorce proceedings, the repercussions echoed through the halls of our lives. The news of the impending divorce sent shockwaves through the extended family and the close-knit social circles we once belonged to. Whispers and hushed conversations painted a picture of scandal, tarnishing the family name. My mother-in-law, now exposed for her role in the unraveling of our marriage, faced the consequences of her actions. In the midst of this turmoil, I found an unexpected source of strength in the support of friends and newfound allies. As the divorce proceedings unfolded, my father-in-law continued to assert his determination to rectify the wrongs that had been allowed to persist. One evening, as the family gathered to confront the fallout, my father-in-law addressed the elephant in the room. "We must acknowledge the pain caused by the actions of one among us," he said, his gaze steady. "It's time to rebuild, to learn from our mistakes, and emerged stronger. My mother-in-law, cornered by the reality of her deeds, spoke with a mixture of defiance and remorse. I did what I thought was necessary for the family, she defended, her eyes avoiding mine. I never imagined it would come to this. My father-in-law, unmoved by her words, responded with a stern resolve. Necessity should never justify cruelty. We all have a responsibility to treat each other with respect and kindness. The divorce, though a painful process, served as a catharsis for the family. The fractures caused by years of unspoken grievances began to heal, and as the legal proceedings concluded, a newfound sense of freedom and self-discovery blossomed. In the aftermath, my mother-in-law faced the consequences not only in the court of law, but also in the court of public opinion. The once respected matriarch found herself ostracized, her social standing crumbling under the weight of her actions. As the dust settled, I stood at the threshold of a new beginning, the echoes of a tumultuous past fading into the background. Little did I know, the journey ahead would be one of rediscovery, resilience, and the gradual rebuilding of a life that had weathered the storm.